Okay, this is about Michael Jackson and what's occurring and the big deception that went on behind Michael Jackson and the true story that he was trying uh, to tell. Okay, so we have to start off with the Holocaust. The Holocaust was actually created by a group that raided the Nazi Party, and that group were British gays, right? And then they created the Holocaust to kill the women's rights inside the Jewish communities, and this is also the art world that also Hitler really liked and loved actually because Hitler was Dutch. And then he was indicted for the Holocaust when he had nothing to do with it. He also bailed out of the war and escaped and went back to Holland, where he's from, an art-loving country. Okay, so the gays hate the art world and Jewish people and women's rights, and then they created the Holocaust, actually created by the gay communities in Berlin. Right, and then they blamed the German people, Hitler, who had the German people's heart, and then they blamed them for the Holocaust, had nothing to do with them. So now Hitler, who is the head of electronic companies, head of Germany, head of the car companies, and also head of the banks because he's head of Holland. So the Bundesbank is also owned by Hitler. And he didn't create the Holocaust. It was actually created by the gay communities that then blamed Hitler. The gay communities are also the Africans and the dark Indians and some of the Muslim people. All right, so now they hate Hitler because he owns the banks and they're stolen everything off him. That's really why they don't like him. He's just Dutch. That's why they don't like Hitler. He also had a very ascetic man. He owns a Dutch bank, so if you take over Hitler, you take over the banks. And that's what the gay community have done. They now currently own the banks after the World War II. All right, so the gays in Scotland created D-Day. They went down to they created D-Day, and then this sent them into war with Germany. And then after that, they then acquired the beer companies and the banks and the electronic and car companies. Is now owned by the gay communities, instigated by Scottish gays that started the D-Day operation. All right, so now, so Hitler had a son, and obviously Hitler is the head of the car companies, banks, and electronic companies. Now, with Michael Jackson, he knows this story, and when he talks, I'm afraid to say, he talks in a threshold that is far above what other people and other mentors are talking. However, they do talk in the same area, but Michael Jackson was supreme at it. And he was therefore very, very misunderstood because you got to have a lot of background to understand what Michael Jackson was saying. And he always said that when the story comes out, he will be completely vindicated. Right. So now the brilliance of Michael Jackson. Right now, he did something that really caught the eye of the public, and he wanted that, and he did this all on purpose. All right, he brought the cameras in and directed and staged the whole thing. Right, so he wanted to look like what he did look like, but he didn't. What he didn't realize is no. Well, he didn't. He did know that people would misrepresent this whole interview, and it would just be a question of time before it would be vindicated. Right, so now he said he likes sleeping with little boys. Right, now he even said this in the interview. He had his arm around a young teenage boy, and he said sometimes we sleep together. Right now, he's actually talking about me because I'm Hitler's grandson. Now we own the electronic company, and we didn't do the Holocaust. My dad, who is Hitler's son, he then went on to marry an Israeli woman, right? And also he's named after Hitler. Hitler named one of his sons William, right? Wim is my dad, right? Now he owns the electronic companies, and now it's owned by me and also the banks. The ATM machines are at Max. It's named after Max. It's me, head of Holland. My dad is the head of Holland, and he adopted me, and he made me the next head of Holland. All right, so and also we're Hitler. So now we should be very rich. Okay, this is a fact, and it's an injustice that we were not only blamed for the Holocaust that we didn't create. It was created by the gay communities that are the trickster, lying to then steal the banks and then denote the Caucasian white people, and then fill Europe with Africans to make them bigger, to make people bigger in Europe for a preference for anal sex of the gay communities that created the Holocaust, that blame Hitler. All right, so Hitler owns the electronic companies, the banks, and also he's the head mason. He owns all the properties and the hotels too. And Michael Jackson knows all of this, and he's saying that why is the head of all of this, all the head of the banks, why is he at home sleeping with young little boys in a single bedroom flat? Because when I'm Hitler's grandson, and my dad, who's Hitler's son, my dad lived in a one-bedroom flat, and he didn't have a spare room when I used to stay there, and we had to sleep in the same bed, a double bed, that is. Of course, nothing sexual occurred, but it's just a question of space, right? So nothing sexual occurred at all. That's not the purpose of that. It was just a question of space, and he lived in a one-bedroom flat, even though he owns the banks and the car companies and the electronic companies. It was all stolen off him by the gay communities. And then when the brilliant Michael Jackson says he likes sleeping with little boys, he's actually supporting my dad. Right, who had to sleep with me when I used to stay over there. We used to sleep in a double bed. Nothing sexual went on. That's just ridiculous. It's just a question of space. That's all. All right. So he then moved into a house, and I had my own bedroom. Do you know what I mean? A few years later. So when Michael Jackson says he likes sleeping with little boys, he's siding with the person that was totally ripped off, all right, by the gay communities. They're also African men are ripping everyone off in a cannibal sect, a child killing sect. Gay communities are hyper psychopath, hyper sociopaths. All right. Now nobody can support that, right? Now Michael Jackson knows that the father of everyone out there is actually also Jack the Ripper, right? And he's also the guy that's stolen the banks and the car companies, the electronic companies. And he doesn't side with them. He's siding with me, and I had to sleep with my dad in the same bedroom. It wasn't uncomfortable. He didn't make it uncomfortable. It was perfectly good. We had a good laugh. When every time the whole upbringing with my dad was utterly flawless and amazing. I was also, he got me into electronics. I was a prodigy in electronics by the time I was 11. And we'll talk more about it later, but they call me Chip. And this is where the chip industry comes from. So my dad is the head of the electronic industry, and he passed this on to me. And I'm very, very rich. There's a company called Max Media Electronics. It's actually named after me, and it makes 500 billion a year. And there's several electronic companies like that, right? So now, when Michael Jackson says he likes sleeping with little boys, he's actually siding with me instead of Jack the Ripper, who's the dad to everyone out there. He's not. He doesn't want to side with Jack the Ripper, who's also the suitcase murderer. That's why Michael Jackson says brings on a suitcase, right? A suitcase, and in that suitcase is a silver glove. Okay, so Jack the Ripper is also fingering a girl who's 10 years old in the middle of Hampstead Heath. He's also a paedophile, right? He's a paedophile. He's not only a gay paedophile, but he's doing it with little girls too. And in that suitcase is a silver glove, referring to an incestuous group that have a baseball glove, right? And that baseball glove is owned by the head of the Law Society, that are an incestuous group of brothers having sex. Yet there are 18 sex laws. And Michael Jackson was highlighting this and telling people to forget the sex laws and pull it all down. Any situation that has anything to do with sex, and they have people connotate, denoting those involved in anything to do with sex, like prostitution, anyone criticising it, pull it all down. because the head of the Law Societies are deeply involved in incestuous sex. Right, I'm a witness to that, and so is Michael Jackson. Right, so that's why he wears a silver glove, and it's in a suitcase. That they're also the suitcase murderers, for fuck's sake, and Jack the Ripper and the Ian Huntley gangs. So when Michael Jackson says he sleeps with little boys, well, he's talking about me. I was sleeping with my dad. My dad is the head of the banks, for fuck's sake. He's the head of Holland. He's He's Hitler's son, and I'm his grandson. We shouldn't be sleeping in a one-bedroom flat. And Michael Jackson said that that's correct. We shouldn't be sleeping in a one-bedroom flat. In fact, he's going to write a song about it. And there you are. There's a song. Isn't it amazing? He's actually supporting who is actually the leader of America, the leader of Europe and Germany and the Caucasian white people, and also the Jamaicans, and also the African women, because I'm married to a queen, right? And the queen of all the women out there includes African women, including Chinese women, right? And also Russia, and Europe and America. Right, so all of this is under attack, and Michael Jackson stood against this, and said he sides with the leader of Europe and America and so on, and that was Hitler, and Hitler is an innocent man. He got away from the lies by escaping the war and the stage effect, and carried on and went on, had 12 kids, and one of them he named William. Right? And William went on to marry a Jewish woman, and they adopted me, and I'm Hitler's grandson. Right now, Michael Jackson, and I used to sleep with my dad because we're poor, really poor. Like I've got £50 in the bank, and I'm called Max. Those ATM machines belong to me and my dad. And Michael Jackson saying you shouldn't be living in a one-bedroom flat. You should be owning the castles, all of them out there, including England, and all the properties, all the hotels, and especially me living in a beautiful mansion of some sort. That's what Michael Jackson was saying, and that's what a lot of people are saying, and that's what he's in. This is the area that he was talking in, and that he therefore gets very misunderstood because people don't know. But he always said in his interviews, when people find out, he'll be completely vindicated. So, in the Michael Jackson investigation, there were several boys, and all of them, including Macaulay and Culkin, they all said they never got a proposition by Michael Jackson sexually, right? And this is correct. He was what you call part of the media tycoon going on, right? And that's very good because you don't want anything else, actually, because then that's Nazism, my friend. That wants to delineate the middle and working class to the point of starvation. And Michael Jackson stood against this. Let's look at his song, the Earth Song, that talks about the other side, Jack the Ripper, dad to all the people, and what he determines and what he intends for the world. The Earth Song, look at the video. Michael Jackson stands against this, so do I, so does my dad, so does Hitler. Right? He was indicted for the Holocaust, he had nothing to do with it. All the operations that are in and around the Nazis and the Holocaust had nothing to do with Hitler. It was all staged against him because he's from Holland that supports women's rights. So do the Jewish people, and so does Michael Jackson. All right. So does most of the middle and working classes. Now, Michael Jackson supports the leader of Europe and doesn't want them to be attacked actually by a group that you can call also South America, because Hitler's last words were, "It is South America that did the Holocaust." All right. So now they've stolen the banks, everything off Hitler after the war. South America has. Right? Now, all the people that own the Dutch banks, everything that Hitler owned is now owned by South Americans. all right, and they're very cruel and insidious criminals, right? Now, Michael Jackson didn't stand with these South American criminals, and he stood with me and my dad, who is the real leader of Europe and America. And he said, therefore, he sleeps with little boys to be in honor of the life that we have to live. Right, and there's a lot more. I mean, we've suffered a lot, me and my dad. My dad was murdered, for instance, in his elderly age. He should still be alive right now, right? And also Paul Michael Jackson was targeted all his life by the gay communities. Michael Jackson brought in Jordan, for instance, was to highlight my life. Right here, I'm actually Jordan, and when I was that age, I was being sexually abused by the dad to everyone who is being chosen by the gay communities, and they were sexually abusing me. And Michael Jackson brought in Jordan to show you how the Law Society is behaving, and they're the head teacher too. All right, they're gay paedophiles. The head teacher is a gay paedophile. Jordan is the brought in so Michael Jackson can show you in a kind of song what's really going on. Right, so now, so 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 yeah, Michael Jackson was very much a philanthropist and an anthropologist. Very much so, much more than most musicians. However, he is much like a lot of the musicians, like Earth, Wind and Fire. All of the funk soul scene out there have a similarity there too, and they work for all the people and understand their history. And Michael Jackson was very much at the top there. Yeah, he was the head teacher. For instance, he would tell us, he was telling us about the Egyptian Empire, for instance, and the beauty and glory inside there, and the towns and cities made out of gold coins, and a whole different type of society and flourishing. And he said that be careful though, because it was all pulled down by Africans, right? And they defaced the Sphinx, right? Actually, in the Egyptian times, it was pulled down by ancient Nubians and the ancient Africans, and they pulled down Cleopatra's ancient Egypt. And Michael Jackson said that was highlighting this when he had his nose job. They said he didn't have a nose job, and he said they did. They said he didn't, and they said he did have one, and he said he didn't. Well, he's actually talking about the African community that destroyed ancient Egypt, also that mimics and is seen also in ancient Rome now, and then today's civilization. So we have to be aware of this, and that's why he has a few nose jobs. Is because he's talking about the Sphinx in ancient Egypt that was destroyed by the blacks. He was saying, right now, he's an anthropologist, right, and he's also talking about history in the World War II too, as well. And he said he's looking at Hitler and his situation, how he was ripped off by the gay community, that the trickster, which is the well-known magician telling people lies to then steal the banks of Max, right? And that Max is actually played by Jordan, right? And Max's ATM machines. And I was sexually abused by elder people who are running those banks and stealing the banks off me, the head of Holland, right? And Michael Jackson was highlighting all of this for everyone to see, that your leader is being sexually abused, having all your assets stolen off you, banks, electronic companies, car companies, hotels and properties, and also people, our properties, all of this stolen off you by a gay community with little boys. Jordan is about the age that they're sexually abusing and trying to anally rape them. Right, so now Michael Jackson goes shopping, right, and he has to close down all the shops in the area, that shop rather, and he goes shopping, and he goes into the shop that sells the most expensive items. Right, so then he goes, I'll buy everything in the shop. He points them all out. I'll have this, I'll have that, I'll have that. He goes shopping. Right, so he's really talking about me and Michael Jackson's fans that I give all my money to because I am the head of the electronic companies. I'm Max Medi. Max Medi Electronics is making 500 billion a year. And basically, I'm giving this money to Michael Jackson fans, and this is what me and Michael Jackson are doing. When Michael Jackson goes shopping, he buys anything he wants because he owns the electronic companies, the car companies, the hotel companies, all the hotels, all the properties, all the people as well are called properties, and also all the banks and cash and credit cards and all of that kind of stuff. All of that is owned by me. And when I go shopping, I can buy anything I want, and I give my money to all of Michael Jackson fans. And they can go out and buy anything they want, like Michael Jackson was doing, and he's doing a stage. Actually, this is for all his fans too, to do exactly the same thing, because we've had all the banks stolen of what were your leader of Europe, Russia, America, India, China, and the African women. So Michael Jackson brought in Jordan to show you how the head of the Law Society is behaving and is actually having lots and lots of sex with a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, and Jordan, etc. And that's why Michael Jackson brought him in, because actually he was bringing him from behind the curtain, and he's helping the public, the middle and working classes that are brutally under attack in a liberating campaign being run by the Law Society. All right, so now Jordan was being sexually abused by the Law Society, but they are also the head of South America. And that black whiting pandering system that delineates all other races and that aims to eat the Caucasian white people after blaming them for this and that, this and that, and this and that. Right now, Michael stood against that, and he wanted the best for a developing nation and didn't want it to get pulled down. Right now, the people who are sexually abusing Jordan are also McDonald's, and they're also the banks, and they've stolen the banks, as Michael was saying. Go shopping, Michael fans, go shopping. You're his fan. You've also been given a lot of money, actually 500 billion a year. Now you go and collect any mobile phone, and that's recruit your assets back, right, to Michael Jackson fans who can go shopping legitimately and take this money back to the leader of England and Europe and America, Russia, India and China and African women. All right. So now the people that are sexually abusing and conning the world and the 18 sex laws, well, they're actually the car companies and the banks and McDonald's, and they're also trying to kill off anything to do with Michael Jackson and the leader of Europe and America and so on. So this is all being destroyed by a very dark group that are also a cannibal sect and Jack the Ripper and the Ian Huntley gangs, and they currently raided the Christian church and they're destroying the Christian church, and they are now dad to all the people out there. And Michael said no to that, and then adopted Macaulay Culkin, and never had sex with him, but treated him really well, and basically mimicked exactly my relationship with my dad and how we lived in a single flat and we should be living in a mansion. Michael said this is outrageous that we're not living in a mansion. And it was McDonald's and the gay community and gay bars that have stolen it all off us. And then they also killed Michael Jackson. All right, and they're targeting all of Michael Jackson's family as well, targeted by all the hotel managers out there, and all the pub landlords, and also McDonald's. So, or for all Michael Jackson fans to know that all the hotel managers have targeted the Jackson family and also the Presley family, and they're using to target and attack with poisons that can induce cancers and heart failure and all types of diseases. And then also using car crash methods, and then they're also using category A prisoners and some of the rat world to attack and kill people. All right, so this is all done by your corner shops as well, that are also these dark Indians, and they're doing this and targeting and killing Michael Jackson, who was siding with the leader, who had basically everything stolen off him by the trickster that actually comes from South India, or India, and the Dark Indians rather, not the Brahmins, but the Dark Indians, that then stole all the banks using lies and trickster, and stole all the gold off the real owners. The real owner was Hitler, head of Holland, head of the banks. So Michael Jackson's glove, the silver glove, well, it's referring to a baseball glove owned by now what is now is the elites that are the head of the Law Society. They're also running all the schools, and head of the Law Society that owns that glove is having incestuous sex with his older brother, homosexual by the way, right? And he's a no girls allowed group. All right, and they're the 18 sex laws, no girls allowed. Yet they're having sex since they were 5 years old. And he's also fingering a young girl when they're 10 years old. That's also part of the elites. So that glove is reference to the Law Society, and no one knows about it. It's behind the curtain until Michael Jackson brings it out and says, look everyone, look what they're doing behind the curtain, look what they're doing, and now it's our turn. All right, now that's only fair, right? In ancient societies, you have that, and it's a flourishing society too. It doesn't have demonic effects like the media says, and also now Michael Jackson's song "The Break of Dawn" is also referring to this glove, right? And the break of dawn, you see. And this is what we're talking about. And he always said he would be vindicated for everything that is being insinuated about him, because all he's doing is talking about what's going on behind that curtain. Over and out.